Hi guys, welcome back to the RC Story. My name's Zamo. In this video guys, we're going to check out what went wrong with the Losi Pro Moto MX. Now if you haven't seen the last video, there's a link just over here. Be sure to check that video out where this caught fire. It started smoking. Guys, like we didn't do nothing radical with it. We've followed the instructions. The instructions state that it can take jumps. It just states that learn on a slow jump and then slowly progress. Obviously, the better you get at handling the vehicle, the more risks you can basically take. It tells you to avoid trying to land on the front wheel or the back wheel, etc. If you read the manuals properly, it basically teaches you how to land and so forth. However, that wasn't an issue. We jumped it, it was fine.
Fool.
We also brought it back from that jump in the skate park, and as it came up towards me, what I heard was the flywheel slow down. Now, when the flywheel slowed down, I had a look and it started smoking. Instantly, I disconnected the battery and basically we checked in with you guys and so forth. Like I said, check out that video that I've put. It was up in the corner a minute ago. Check that out. So what I did, obviously this was off camera. I stripped it down because I wanted to know what the hell's going on. A product this expensive should not catch fire or start smoking or burn out under nothing abnormal that we did. There's plenty of videos on these where people have been completely extreme with them, and I really wanted to know what was going on, whether it was a warranty issue, whether it's something we've done, etc. So I teared it all down, and guys, you're gonna want to see this. Right guys, I've stripped the bike down, and as you can see, the issue was here. So that's your flywheel in there, and basically you have a starter that connects to that, and that was smoking. However, I pulled the starter out and you guys can see, look at the state of that. That's completely burnt out. Now, not only there is it burnt out, I'll try and focus in here for you guys. If you have a look at the wiring, just there, it's all started melting. Now, it's bizarre that it's done this, but we were running the standard stock battery. There was nothing unusual about the way we were running this. Just a normal day, just running it under the normal circumstances, and I'll explain what's happened. So this basically has a rubber seal that goes across this edge here. So where it's raised, there's a round rubber seal that sits there. And then that rubber seal basically sits along this rim. You can see where it's just beveled. And it sits there. And what's happened is, because we were running it on long grass, it's basically got water ingress. Now guys, what amazes me is we didn't take this through any serious puddles. We didn't drown it in water. You guys seen the footage. There was some long grass. However, that field the grass was a lot shorter than the last field we ran it in. So the last field, the grass probably came up to here, and this thing took it like a champ. This field, the grass probably came up to about here. However, when I stripped this down, this was basically covered in residue of water. It wasn't a case of loads of water came pouring out. It was just little spots of water. So basically water residue. Like I said, you probably heard me say this in another video. After every run, we do clean our vehicles down. We get all the grime off them. And we literally, if we've run them where the conditions are damp, we do use a heat blower and basically dry them down. And then once they're dry, we re-lubricate everything that needs lubricating and so forth. So for example, in this case, the chain, any nuts and bolts, so they don't go rusty. I just don't like them when they go rusty. It's nasty. So I try and keep on top of everything and just keep the maintenance on peak, basically. And for that to happen, I was quite disappointed, to be fair. So I got on the phone to the Losi UK dealer, and they basically asked for all the pictures to be sent across, which we did. Sent all the pictures, all the teardown pictures, etc., and explained from what it looked like the seal may have failed, or it would have been installed incorrectly from the factory. So it's one or the other. However, there was water residue in there, and that's the only thing we can put it down to. But this thing absolutely stinks. They kindly sent us out a new starter. You can get these as replacement parts. So for those that are thinking if yours is going to go, etc., I believe they're about £56 or £54 or something like that. I will put the correct price on the screen for you guys, but you can get replacement parts. So we've got a new starter here. What we're going to do is build it back up, get this in, and get this baby back on the road. So I'll record a few bits for you guys. It ain't very hard to dismantle. What I will say is when you do dismantle it, there's a couple of screws and bolts that go up here. I'll move this out of the way because I've stripped this completely down. There are a couple of screws that go in different positions, and they are different lengths, and there's no manual, or in their manual itself, it doesn't tell you what screw goes where, the lengths, etc. So I played it safe, being me, is I basically popped everything back in the right place, and I've just taped it in just so I don't forget, because I didn't know how long it was going to be before I tore it down to find out what the issue was, and then up until when I find the issue, ordering the new part, getting the new part in, and fixing the problem. So my advice to yourself, if you do come across this issue with your nuts and bolts, etc., the screws, though they look like they're all the same Allen key bolts, they're not. Yes, they're tapered, etc., but the lengths are all different. Especially, I think there was one over the top somewhere, and this one here, just be careful with that one because that's thread locked in. So anyone that's trying to get at it, just take your time, don't strip the bolt. But yeah, so we've done that, we've stripped it down, and now we're going to fit the new starter and build this back up, and hopefully we can get it back on the road to give you guys more content. So guys, what I've done is I've literally taken the bolts out for the guards from the other side because I just popped them in just to keep them safe. So I've removed them. We can see the starter where it fits here, and you've got 3 bolts. Just be careful because this is all magnetic, and it's quite strong. And what you'll find is, I'll show you on the old starter, and on the old starter there, you've got basically a bearing sort of washer, and then you've got 3 crush washers that are basically distorted in shape. Now, just make sure when you take this out, what'll happen is they'll fling off and go to the end and get stuck here on the end. So just make sure you do fish them out. So it's 3 crush washers. I'll pull them out for you guys just to show you. So it's these little tiny crush washers. There's 3 of them, and then there's a metal bearing as well. I'll pull that out and show you. So there's the metal bearing, and basically they go in a sequence. So just make sure they will, there's no doubt about it, when you take this starter out, they will fling off to the side. So what we need to do is remove these. Just 3 Allen key bolts. These are all the same size. So I'll get these removed. And this should be a straightforward repair. So we've got the kit here. They did state that they've put a new seal in for me. There you go. So there's the brand new seal. It's just a little rubber O-ring. And I'm guessing that failed because when I pulled it out, on this starter, it was basically kinked. It went all the way up and then back down on the ridge. It wasn't sitting flush. So I'm guessing that's what's failed. Either that or it's let water in somehow. I don't know. But I did undo these bolts to get this casing off. And I thought I'd get the casing off and any residue that's in there, let me clean it and dry it off. And to be fair, there was no residue in there. That was absolutely bone dry. Which was great because the way this casing fits, it's basically got a lip and this top case fits over the lip and clamps down. So that done really well. So there was only one way water can get in it, which was through this seal that sits there, which is this. So either that's failed or that ain't fit for the purpose. One or the other, but we'll find out, I guess. So they give you 3 new crush washers and the new bearing and the starter itself. So I'm going to put this side by side just to show you guys. Like I said, this has had no wear whatsoever. This has only been ran once previously before this, and then obviously on the run where it basically started smoking and caught fire or whatever it did. That was the second run. So that's a new starter and that's the old one. You guys can see yourself how badly that's fried. And don't get me wrong, this thing stinks and it stank the whole workshop out, even though this has been sitting here for a few days now. But yeah, you can see where the wiring's burnt out just there and that one's all fresh. So we're going to put this in and hopefully it fixes the issue, which it should do because I have tested everything. So I did wire everything back up when I was eliminating, process of elimination basically, trying to eliminate what the issue could be. So everything was wired up and the motor ran fine, which means obviously the ESC is fine. And the only other thing it could be was the starter. So what I did is on the controller, I put flywheel mode on and nothing wound up. So there was no noise whatsoever. So that obviously indicated it was this. There's a little, like a mini IC5 looking sort of cable that connects here, which is quite cute to be fair. I disconnected that. Let me see if there's actually a name for it. Basically, IC2. I see it. So it's an IC2 connector. I learned something new, guys. So yeah, so this connector, I've seen an IC2 connector here. Disconnected that, and that was that basically. So this can now be connected back up, and all this can be put back in. So let's get into this and get this sorted. So just remember the sequence. It's the bearing first. And once the bearing's on, it's the 3 crush washers. Sorry if I'm covering you guys there. Right, they're on. So I'm going to hold this at an angle. Just simple reason being I don't want the washers to come flying off and go on the edge. So just bear with me. Actually, I've forgotten something, haven't I? Don't want to make that mistake. Excuse me. Let's get this seal on. So we've got a brand new seal. I'm going to make sure it's seated correctly. And if it did fail, I can see why it's failed, because it doesn't want to stay in position. Not at all. It just wants to keep lifting. So I'm just going to take a couple of seconds just to make sure it's seated correctly. I don't want this issue again. Because it could have been a lot worse. So I'm just making sure, I'm just using an Allen key here. Just using the flat side of it just to make sure that it's seated correctly all the way around, which it is. And let's get this into position. So as you can see, the washers are already trying to come off, so I'm going to have to tilt this up. Get that into position, and there you go. You can feel it suck itself in. And there you go. That's clipped into place. Next job would be to get these bolts back in. So I have lined all the bolts holes up as I was basically putting it in, just to make sure everything goes smoothly. And the way I normally do these up is I just nip them ever so lightly, and then once they're in, I'll basically go through sequence and make sure they all go down at the same sort of resistance and pressure. Just simple reason being is so that rubber ring seats correctly. You don't want too much force on one side and basically kinking that rubber gasket seal. But what I would say to everyone is just take your time with this. Like I said, it's the first time I've ever done this, so and I thought I'd record this because I thought, you know what, this is something that you guys are going to want to know or want to see. It may have even happened to someone already, but when I contacted the UK rep for Losi, they turned around and said it's the first they've heard of it and it's not happened before. So it may have just been a freak accident and I was just an unlucky person. Alternatively, it might be a case of you guys haven't had it yet and it may happen to you guys coming soon. Hopefully it doesn't, but if it does, you guys know what the issue is straight away and you can get it rectified. And now it's just a simple case of this is bolted in. Like I said, nice and easy. And that's nipped up now. They seem very hard when you look at it and you think, where do I begin? Where do I begin? And it seems like it's a nightmare to work on. But these bikes are actually easier than some cars. It's just knowing your way around the components and what goes where. Don't get me wrong, I've got some bike knowledge already in terms of real motorbikes. And to be fair, I know it ain't a petrol engine, etc. But the way the components are designed is very much like a real motorbike. The way the rear swing arm is, the way the chain comes on and off, where the rear shock sits, how it's positioned with all the pivots. It's just like the real thing. So I've got an idea of what goes where, etc. So that's a plus side and it does help. But guys, I've bolted that in. Now it's a simple case of getting all this back on. So this will go up here. That earths to basically this metal plate, because that metal plate will just slide over. All these bolts will go in. The earth strap goes on there. That get earth. Once that's done, it's just a simple case of putting all your fairing pieces on, etc. Look, you can see I've put tape on all the bolts because I didn't want to lose them. Put them on, sprocket on, chain on, and it's done. Right, what I'll do, I'm going to crack on with this. I'm not going to bore you any further. I've told you about the main components and how to fit that. What I'm now going to do is literally crack on with this, and I'll join you back in a second when it's all complete and put back together. Guys, I've put it all back together again. Every single nut and bolt went back exactly where it should go, which is perfect. I will say though, the way this is designed and engineered, the tolerances are absolutely perfect. Your nut and bolt, the bolt needs to be dead straight in order for it to thread through. It just won't go through. I thought that was great. One bit of issues that I did face was your front sprocket. I put it on the wrong way around, and then I realised when it came to putting the back wheel on, it just wouldn't line up, and there was not enough stretch in the chain. And then I realised, right, I put the sprocket on the wrong way around. So just make sure you guys don't forget. Simple mistake to be made. Put your sprocket on the right way around. As soon as I did that, it lined up and basically sat perfect. I've ran it. I've tested it. Flywheel spools up perfect. It works perfect in terms of I've put it on and messed around with it in my hands. I've not actually taken it out. If I took it out, I would have recorded it for you guys. But yeah, it's working perfectly. So my advice to you guys is don't take this out in the rain. Don't take it through puddles, and try and avoid long strings of grass or dampy areas. Obviously, lesson learned for myself. It's a bit of a disappointment. Simple reason being, it's got a motocross bike. It's got proper motocross tyres on. It's supposed to be ran through dirt and mud and grass, etc. And it just didn't live up to it. So I'm a bit put off by that. However, I may stick some Supermoto tyres on and do some action and car parks on the road. So that'll be fun and exciting. I don't really want to use knobbly tyres on the road. They'll just wear out, and you just go through them like there's no tomorrow. So I'd rather spend the money and get proper Supermoto tyres. But I'm not saying this is the end of content for this in terms of grass fields, etc. I will be running it on grass fields, mud, etc. However, only on dry days and where the ground is dry, not damp. Like I said, lesson learned. It may have been just completely a mess up by the factory where they forgot to put the seal in around the stator. If that was the case, then this should be all good. But guys, comment below if anybody else has had any issues. I don't think there'll be many people in the UK with these, but mainly US guys and Australia, etc. Have you guys had any issues with these whatsoever in terms of water getting into the stator? Have you run it through puddles? Have you run it through long grass with water, damp areas, etc.? Put a comment below. I'd love to know. I'd love to really know, just to give myself a peace of mind. But guys, I will be taking this back out. I'll probably be taking it out on a field, etc. once again until I get some Supermoto tyres. However, I will wait for a dry day until the field's completely dry. Guys, if you've enjoyed this and you like our content, please feel free to like, share and subscribe, and smash that notification button, because we're releasing content all the time and I don't want you guys to miss it. Right, we'll see you in the next one.